Happy Thursday. I forgot what day it is. Welcome to the Prop Queen Pod. I'm the Prop Queen, Ariel Epstein. I look extra shiny today. I don't know why. That's not good. Anyway, so we've got a great show ahead. I am looking forward to talking to our great guests that we're going to have on today to discuss NHL, MLB, NBA. God, I can't get over how this is what happens when I do my makeup early in the day. Can't do my makeup early in the day. I look so pale and washed out. And I'm going out for the Knicks game after this, so I have to clean up my makeup because I can't look like this going to the bar. Anyway, you'll just endure it. Today we've got Stormy Buonantony joining the show from VSiN and ESPN. She's going to break down hockey. She is a pro at hockey. I need help. I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. It's an awesome playoff. I just don't really know much about it. So Stormy's going to help us out. Then from covers, we've got Joe Osborne coming on. He's going to give us MLB, NBA picks. The NBA has been terrible for me. I don't know about the rest of you. You can tell me in the chat how you feel about the NBA. The NBA playoffs suck. I hate them. I'm frustrated every morning when I have to wake up and handicap it. I get really annoyed when I have props in the NBA playoffs that normally probably would have hit in the regular season, and now they're not cashing. That said, I have to give, before I start anything today, I have to give a formal apology to my good friend Hakeem Prophet. He comes on the show a lot, works over at Wager Talk. This is my formal apology to Hakeem. I am very sorry that I doubted you. I'm very sorry that I yelled at you. I gave it out as a royal lock. Jaylen Brown over 22.5 points. I trust Hakeem blindly. I tell you guys that. I trust him blindly in the playoffs. So I bet it. I was cursing him out, though. He had to endure me being extremely angry because Hakeem gives me the most public play of the day. It was 99% of bets to the over on Jaylen Brown on his points yesterday. I don't like that. I don't like being on the side that everyone else is on. I don't like being on the public side. Absolutely not. Hakeem made me do it. I wasn't happy. And then in the first half, I was like, all right, Hakeem, I'm sorry. And I texted him last night. I said, I will formally apologize to you on air tomorrow when I open the show because I don't blame him. If he didn't want to give me any picks again, I don't blame him because I just yell at him every time. Just like the Lakers to win it all. He would never tell me that he picked them to win it all because Hakeem knows that I don't like the homer picks. David Fink, first time catching the show live. Welcome to watching the show live. Jessica Brand, she already says that she is on the over in the Knicks game today. Happy Thursday to Sean Michael. Thanks, everybody, for joining in and writing in the chat. Always a lot of fun. The Knicks game tonight, they're playing the Pistons, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Going to watch the games with some friends. New York is always buzzing when it's the Knicks. Nonetheless, tonight on a thirsty Thursday, we've got a Knicks playoff game, the NFL draft, Stanley Cup playoffs. No New York baseball team is in action today, but it's going to be a very loaded night for Thirsty Thursday. It was a loaded night last night, so here's a recap from the Prop Queen newsletter. This is, again, subscribe to the propqueen.com newsletter so you can get all this info. If you're a premium subscriber, you get this info first thing not first thing in the morning, like 10 a.m. Eastern time to 11 a.m. Eastern time. I try to give you the edge in all the props markets. And then the basic subscribers get the newsletter right after the show, like 6:02 p.m. Where the Prop Queen newsletter was right yesterday, the Orioles starter, Tomoyuki Sugano, he went under his 5.5 strikeout prop with a 1 strikeout through 7 innings. That was a fun one. The fishy line also cashed. That was another fun one. The Pittsburgh Pirates shut out the Los Angeles Angels 3-0. That was an Andrew Heaney revenge game, just his second time at Angel Stadium since they traded him. The Celtics shooting guard, Jaylen Brown, thank you to Hakeem Prophet, over 22.5 points. 36 points wrapped up for Jaylen Brown last night with Jason Tatum out of the game. Drew Holiday, if you looked at the chart, it was on the newsletter yesterday. The newsletter had the Celtics chart of the games without Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown, of course, his points went up by 3. without him. Drew Holiday's points also went up by 3 points. The chart indicated the numbers were very off, that his prop at 10.5 points was very off. He only had 11, but it indicates that he averages about 13 to 14 points a game, Holiday, without Jason Tatum. Celtics center Kristaps Porzingis went over his 7.5 rebounds, grabbing 10 boards. Again, according to that chart, Porzingis without Tatum, his prop was 7.5. He averages like between 8 to 10, whereas Al Horford's numbers were a lot more spot on. So Porzingis without Tatum on the boards with a 7.5 rebound prop made the most sense there. That's where we went right. I, of course, only bet one of those NBA props because I'm being very careful with where I put my money in the NBA playoffs. I bet the Jaylen Brown one, so it was a winner. The other two I didn't bet, so I hope if you guys did bet it that it was a very profitable night. Where I went wrong on the Prop Queen newsletter, the Mets left-hander. Oh, this one pissed me off. That one shouldn't have happened. David Peterson went under 5.5 Ks. That should not have happened. That was an afternoon baseball game, and here we are again with afternoon baseball absolutely sucking the life out of me. He just had 2 strikeouts in 5 1/3 innings against the Phillies. I'm just letting you know right now, we are no longer betting Phillies strikeout props. Any pitcher facing the Phillies, they are dead to me. The Los Angeles Angels are the same. We do not bet against the Phillies anymore. Mid-Major Matt and I are 0-4 when betting against the Phillies this year. When Mid-Major Matt and I agree, so far this season, we're 8-3 straight. Like, we're 8-3. So you got to listen. When Mid-Major Matt and I agree. And we agreed yesterday on Sugano under. So that contributed to the 8-3 for Mid-Major Matt and I. He did not agree with me on David Peterson. Rightfully so. He sucked. So that went under. It was a bigger night for Evan Mobley, which I addressed that I was expecting Mobley to have a bigger game yesterday since he didn't really have a great offensive performance. Nonetheless, was terrible at rebounding in the first half of game 1. He had a better offensive night. He had 20 points. Rebounds, though, still stayed under. He did not go over 10.5 rebounds. It wasn't a great night on the boards for the Cleveland Trees, which is very interesting because the Cleveland Cavaliers were talking about how they wanted to be better on the boards after game 1. They felt like they have to win there in order to win the series. They tell me to look at quotes. Everyone tells me in the NBA playoffs, you can't look at numbers. You have to look at quotes in the post-game press conferences. I did so much research into this stupid press conference, and guess what? It was still a freaking loser. I'm just pissed about it. Okay, and Jabari Smith, same thing. Looked at quotes, said that he saw a mismatch coming off the bench against the Warriors, said off the bench, the Warriors are small, which we know. He still didn't have a good game. Just put up 5 points, 5 rebounds, did not go over any of his props. The NBA playoffs really pissed me off. I'm really not a fan of them. I don't really like any playoffs, to be honest, to bet. I just feel like things get very fluky. I'm a numbers person. In the regular season, you find edges with numbers. In the postseason, it's much tougher. In baseball, pitchers don't stay in as long. In basketball, who knows? Like, they don't even know. In basketball, like, they're figuring it out as they go. I don't know. The NBA, I don't even know what they're playing. And then in hockey, it's just the most unpredictable playoff that we have in sports. And that's why I'm going to bring on my next guest, because I really don't know much about hockey. I know, like, how the game works, but from a betting perspective, absolutely not. Stormy Buonantony, who I've practiced her name 80,000 times because I don't know how she even learned how to spell it in kindergarten. Stormy, what's going on? Thanks for coming on.
You nailed the pronunciation. Well done.
It's
that's
like
so
to pronounce hockey players' names.
100%. Maybe that's why I'm good at it, is because of that name. But it's funny you mentioned that, though, because it was the first word I ever learned how to spell was my last name. So that explains it.
Did you know how to spell it before kindergarten?
Yes. Oh, right away. It's like you learn your ABCs and then you spell your last name. And that was my life.
I had to copy paste your name off X, like, on everything to make sure I didn't mess it up. So anyway, we appreciate you being here on the show. It's very weird to have you in the guest spot because usually I'm like your number 2 on VSiN and you're asking me the questions. We've got Stanley Cup playoffs tonight, and it's just about a week in. How has betting on the Stanley Cup playoffs been so far?
Mostly profitable, which has been nice, but I was laughing at the way you were kind of commiserating about some of your stuff the other day, because that's like exactly what happened to me yesterday, specifically with the Colorado Avalanche. I loved them. First game at home after losing in overtime the game prior to the Dallas Stars. Is like, it makes too much sense to bet Colorado. Got a good number on them in regulation, all this stuff. And then not only do they lose in regulation, but they lose in overtime. And it's a game with which they had 6 power play opportunities and didn't convert on one of them. And this is a team that has so much upside offensively, that was top 8 in the league when it came to power play percentage throughout the course of the year. And in the postseason so far, they're 13th of 16 teams. So of course I bet on teams when they have uncharacteristically bad performances. And so I'm hoping to get in a little bit more positivity today.
Usually when you're having a bad day the day before, things turn around the day after. So I'm kind of glad we're getting you in a buy low spot. We'll start with the series that, nope, see, this is me trying to learn StreamYard bad. 1 second. Okay, this is better. So this is a series that, thank goodness, I've co-hosted with you on VSiN a few times, because I've learned a lot about what the great, excited, anticipated matchups are in the Stanley Cup playoffs. This is one of them. Florida Panthers at the Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa minus 126, total 5.5. What do you like in this game?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Florida just shocked a lot of people, myself included, the way they dominated game 1. So 6-2 final. And my brain tells me unless the Lightning want to go down to Sunrise 0-2, they need a big response tonight. And being such an avid NBA bettor, so many people talk about the zigzag theory and betting a team that lost against the spread the next day. 3-0 for those spread bets yesterday. In the NHL, it's there as well, but to a lesser extent. And I think even in the NBA, it's situational. Like, not all zigzags are created equal. And situationally tonight, though, I think this is the game that makes the most sense. So the home team, who's the better seeded team, got embarrassed in game 1 against their in-state rival. That's a bet on team for me. I don't know if I can get there for the full game, though. So there are a few different ways I want to play it. I love them in the first period. I love them to score first. Tampa Bay in the first period, when I bet it was minus 125. It's a little bit steeper now at minus 145. But you do get the voided bet if it's a tie. Plus 154 on the puck line to lead by a goal or more after one. First to score is still available at plus 110. And I mean, there's other ways too. You can do over under 1 goal for the team, first to 5 shots. There's a ton of different ways that you can bet on this, but largely the thought process is that they have to come out and throw the first punch. They're on home ice. Get that juice back in your building. Also, just big picture in terms of the full game betting, 2 things that happened in game 1, I would be genuinely shocked to see happen again. Florida going 3 for 3 on the power play, considering Tampa was a top 6 penalty kill in the NHL this year, and Andrei Vasilevsky being terrible. He gave up 6 goals on like 16 or 17 shots. That is so uncharacteristic. I was looking through just the game logs of the end of the regular season. Prior to Tuesday, he had only given up 4 goals, more than 4 goals, 1 time since November. So it was a head scratching performance. I don't think we see that again. So I'm a lot of things are showing up Tampa for me today, including, as you had on that graphic, a Nikita Kucherov prop. I kind of laddered his shots on goal over 2.5 and over 3.5. The over 2.5 is juiced to minus 155. Over 3.5, you're getting plus 155. He only had 2 shots on goal in game 1. In the previous 4 games in the regular season, when they faced off against Florida, he had 3, 5, 5, and 2. So averaging 3 3/4 shots per game. He averages 3.5 on the season. So his averages are above this core number. And the power play runs through him more often than not. It's a physical rivalry game. I think we're going to get some more penalties called, and therefore more time on ice for Nikita Kucherov. So I love him to be firing on net tonight in a gotta have it game too.
When you talk about this matchup and how one side defensively just struggling, especially on the power play, we talk zigzag theory. Sean Michael was asking in the chat, what are your thoughts then on the over?
It's I feel like this game was going to be an under series to me. And it's tough considering obviously like it was an 8-goal first game, right? And so I was shocked by that. I was shocked by the result overall in game 1. Like, I thought that this was a game that was going to be back and forth sharing chances, but in a low scoring affair. Both of these goaltenders are really good. Andrei Vasilevsky and Sergei Bobrovsky on the other side since the Four Nations break have had unbelievable goals against average, unbelievable save percentages. So I lean more toward the under in game 2 in a tighter game than I do the over. So I guess, yeah, if we're going zigzag, if it was over in game 1, then yeah, under in game 2. I think this should be more of an under type of a series. But I love that we have chat questions. This is so cool.
Oh, you've never done the chat questions before?
No, I'm not fancy. We don't have that on BSIN.
It's so fun because when you start to run out of things to talk about, you just go to the chat. Perfect. And you can like make your own conversation. For example, Sean Michael, which I know what the lanyards are in the back, but he thinks that you have a lanyard fetish. You could explain what it is. We know what it is.
Oh, you cut out a little bit, but you're asking about these?
The lanyard fetish.
Oh, a fetish? Come on, man. Granted, thank you. There are a few of these that I probably should throw out by now. Like, we don't need my first job out of college, Mountain West Conference track and field championship lanyards anymore. Probably not. But it is like, it's a collection of some of my favorite lanyards. And I even put,
lanyards are media credentials.
I put, they're my media credentials. Yeah. But I put Post-it notes on some of the ones that are particularly important so I don't forget the memory. Like, I worked the Rose Bowl this year as a sideline reporter, so I have that one. This was my first time I got to do a game on ESPN covering the NHL, my first national game. So I feel like this is a proper one for this segment. But yeah, that's what I do. I have and it was the first game, smart. Seattle and St. Louis, Jessica Campbell, first female in NHL history on the bench. So that was like a very memorable thing.
That's so smart. I had all these lanyards when I was moving out of North Carolina, and I thought like I had really cool ones. I just never labeled them. Honestly, it would have been genius. I could have said Coach K, Roy Williams. Yes. Like, I need to remember that. Your credential doesn't tell you those things. That's really smart. What's your favorite game that you've gotten to be credentialed for so far?
I mean, I would say the Rose Bowl. That was such a bucket list event for me as somebody who grew up in the West Coast, and the Rose Bowl was just, it was everything, right? Like it was the end all be all, the sunrise in the second half and all of that stuff. And so for me to be on the sideline for that game opposite Holly Rowe, who's one of my favorite reporters of all time, and Chris Fowler tossing down to me, it was an unreal experience for me. And if it never happens again, I can die happy. Like, it was amazing.
I've said that about I used to say I could retire after I interviewed Derek Jeter, and then I interviewed Derek Jeter at 20 years old. So
unreal.
I figured I couldn't retire at that point. But
it's like, how do you go up from there? Yet you have. Congrats to you. You've totally, I'm not even kidding. You have carved out such a unique path for yourself that like nobody does what you do. It's so cool.
Oh, thank you. Well, the same for you, because it's very weird when our betting side of the industry isn't always well received. The fact that you could do national telecasts and be a sideline reporter on these national stages, but then also transition to gambling. I tell young people all the time in the business, that's the role that they have to, like, when young people are looking in the business, they have to look to someone like you, because you can incorporate both. That's going to be the future of sports betting, is being able to incorporate the sports betting world into the mainstream world.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I can't wait to see how that continues to evolve. Last year, I worked on the UFL, which I know it's not the brand of football that everybody's particularly excited to watch. It's no secret. Everybody knows that. But I do think something that makes them unique is them putting the betting odds in their games. And I love looking at the score bug at the bottom of the game and seeing what the spread is. When the total hits in the game, the graphic does a little flip and it's this is cashing. And I think that that's a very cool element. I don't know how far that's going to progress, but think about, we never would have thought 10 years ago or less that we would have spreads on the ticker on NFL Network. That would be unheard of. And so hopefully we just continue to progress in a positive way, because I think it's important, and I know you do too, when you're watching a broadcast, to have a broadcaster know the importance of meaningless free throws at the end of a game. Like, they're not meaningless to everybody. So don't.
Al Michaels knows for sure that it's not always garbage time at the end of a game. People probably don't know this about you. You're from Vegas originally. How much was sports betting involved in your life from a young age?
Yeah, I love that you asked that question. Thank you. Because a lot of people ask me, like, oh, how did you get into it? And I'm like, it was kind of thrust upon me at a young age.
You lived in Vegas.
Exactly. So the language is just, everybody knows it here. And my grandpa actually was a bookie, like an odds maker back in the day. My
Love it.
my uncle, Eugene Buonantony, currently in Las Vegas, he sets lines. So it's very much a part of the makeup of me growing up. And I remember vividly sitting on my dad's lap as a little kid watching football. And we've always had the multi-screen setup my entire life, even when it was the fat box TVs. Like we have multiple televisions in a room because my dad's sweating games. He was a degenerate gambler while my other parts of the family actually worked in it. He was just like, let's go. But sitting on his lap watching games, and my dad's like, okay, left TV, we just want points. That's all we need. We just want, we don't care who wins. Just give me points. And so
I
I'm
tell
like
people all
like
the time, sports betting's another language. You really have to immerse yourself in it to learn the language. And that's why it probably came much easier to you than others, because you were speaking the language so young.
Yeah, and I'm bad at math too. So that's
I would never think that.
Thank you. But it's like, that's why I always tell people, if I can learn and understand sports betting, anyone can, because I'm trash at math. I hate numbers. And so I always try to tell people, I understand going to a sports book in person and seeing all of the numbers can be a little bit intimidating. It is so basic. The math is so easy. If I can do it, you can do it. Let's do this together. Let's learn.
Let's learn more hockey, because
Yeah.
we talk about Vegas, and not only have you grown up from a young age with learning sports betting, but you also got to watch how Vegas got a hockey team. Now you're going to get a baseball team too, which is insane. But Vegas is growing in the sports world. What is the buzz in Vegas? Before we dive into your picks, what's the buzz in Vegas with the Golden Knights?
I mean, from day one, unbelievable. And truly, it's funny that I have grown such a passion for this sport, because growing up in Vegas, we're in a desert, you know, like we didn't have any sports when I was growing up here. It was UNLV and minor league baseball, and that was the extent of it. It was a city and a place that was starving for sports, but we didn't have any. So it's crazy to think the way that this is built out and how it just continues to grow and grow. And you said it, MLB is coming here. Well, we get the NBA. We already have the WNBA, the NHL, the NFL. It just continues to grow. But I was not a hockey person. I knew nothing about it. And my first introduction to hockey truly was when we got a team, because their slogan and motto was Vegas born. And I was like, oh, that's me. And everyone in this community has such a connection to the team from that. And year one, obviously, there was the tragedy on October 1 as well. And then the Golden Knights to really embrace the city and the community and the people so much, and then go on to that amazing Stanley Cup run. We are so connected to this team. It's such a foundational part of like so many people's personalities here. It's on everybody's license plates. It's on every like poster that you see out there. So I love the team. I'm very grateful that I had the opportunity for a couple years to be their rinkside reporter. So I know a lot of the guys who are still on the team, but the buzz right now in this series is a little nervous. They're not feeling great right now after the way that the game the other night went.
You're going with some props in the game, especially with Mark Stone. Why do you like Stone so much?
Because he's been bad. Truly.
The zigzag theory.
Yes, we're zigzagging on player props too. So Mark Stone is the team captain, first captain in obviously the organization's history. He's one of the best players, top liner. He and Jack Eichel have been amazing for this team. Yet in this series, they have not logged a point and are -3. Mark Stone has 4 grade A scoring chances 5-on-5 in the series, which is actually tied for the most of any player in the set, yet he has nothing to show for it. He's only got 57 seconds of power play time logged so far. So I'm not usually the he's due type, but given this situation, I think he is. And for a guy who throughout the course of the regular season, his longest drought without a point was 3 games, he's in the midst of a 5-game no point streak right now. So I love him to score a point. And if you want to pair it together with Jack Eichel, who is the best player on the team and had 94 points this year, but he keeps on getting bet up. It's juiced to almost $2, as high as $2 at DraftKings. Shop around though, because there's still -180 out there. But if you pair that together, you get around like +132. So price-wise, for 2 guys who play on the same line together, who are the best players on the team, but haven't shown up yet in this series in a very important game, I think it makes all the sense on the world for them to come together today.
I love it. I love having some props. And Lewis Creech said Mark Stone over 1.5 shots, minus 140.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Love it. I know it's juicy and it's painful to bet $140 to win 100. It's not a good time, but and more often than not, if that's the way that you're betting, you're not going to be profitable. So make sure you sprinkle in some plus money stuff along the way, find some dogs. But yeah, I love Mark Stone. I think he's going to be firing today. I think that the Golden Knights, given the struggles that they had last game, it's wake up time. It's put up or shut up time here, game 1 in Xcel Energy Center.
We've also got the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Ottawa Senators going head-to-head tonight with the Senators minus 128. Again, another total. Every total on this board's 5.5, I'm pretty sure, until Saturday. So yeah, Toronto, the one thing I know about hockey is that these Canadian teams haven't really won much the whole thing. So thoughts on Toronto this year?
Yeah, it's been a hot minute, and nobody has had it more rough than the Toronto Maple Leafs in the postseason. I'm telling you, Ariel, the last decade, this is a team that everybody is tabbing as having the talent and the caliber of being a Stanley Cup contender, and they inevitably lose in the first round every single year. 2 years ago, when they made it to the second round, it was historic that they finally got the monkey off of their back. I think they have moved on from that. And I really feel like they can put their foot down in this series. So this is a great example of a zigzag I don't believe in, because it is for Ottawa today, must-win mentality. They're at home after hard-fought overtime loss in game 2. I just don't see it happening for them. And I could be off base in saying this, but I don't think Toronto has played particularly well for them. But the Senators have played about as well as they could play. We've seen their best. And Toronto is still up 2-0 in the series. I just don't know if Ottawa can score enough goals. There's no depth. They had 2 guys with 60 points this year, and they didn't have a single goal scorer over 30. Brady Tkachuk had 29. Linus Ullmark is the reason that this team is in the postseason. And so now you're taking on a Leafs team whose defense is really good, top 8 in the league in goals allowed per game, top 7 in goals for per game. And I feel like this is one of those years and one of those playoff series where they haven't had this good fortune in the past, and they always find a way to screw it up. I don't think they're going to screw it up against Ottawa. I think this is a sweep or a gentleman's sweep, and there's great value on plus 110, the money line for Toronto tonight.
How much do you like them going forward after the next round?
See, that's where you get me a little questionable.
Because Jessica says too, she's like, I wish I could think it's a different year. I think the Leafs second round exit is the most pluralistic outcome. So
yeah. But I'm not talking about second round. I'm talking about round 1.
I know. Well, Book It Trent is very high on the Toronto Maple Leafs, which means they probably are going to get bounced at some point.
That's not good. We don't need that energy. Come on. Trent?
Sean Michael says, any sleeper future bets after a couple of games in?
Ooh, let me pull up the latest futures board.
Sorry to throw you off.
Oh, no, you're fine. Because there are a lot of teams I like, but the futures odds movement, for anybody who pays attention to the NHL, we have seen massive swings every single game when it comes to who's going to win the cup. I talked about the Colorado Avalanche earlier. They were as short as 5-1-ish to win it all, and now they're 11-1 and an underdog in their own series. So these things are fluctuating a lot,
which is why the Stanley Cup playoffs are amazing for betting opportunities.
No question. It feels like at times there's no excuse not to get a good number. So the Canes are your favorite right now, which I think makes sense. I think they can sweep the Devils in this opening round series. Jets second shot, Leafs plus 750. Can't get there. Sorry about it. The Panthers at plus 750. I like the Lightning. Okay, so the Lightning are 16-1 right now. God, this is terrible. Lightning are 16-1 right now. And everyone is doubting them and turning the dial and saying, I am off of this team after one game against Florida. And I get it. I understand that was an ugly loss. And Florida looked amazing. And Tampa looked like, what the hell just happened? But it's one game. What are we doing here? This big of an overreaction? I don't think that makes sense. I bet the Lightning in the series pre-game 1 at plus 105. I think that they had a lot of things come together for them well at the end of the regular season, and they didn't put it together in game 1. It's a long series. This thing probably goes 7, but for Florida to be plus 750 and Tampa to be 16-1 makes zero sense to me.
That's crazy that we saw that big of a jump because I remember us talking about the Colorado Avalanche and the fact that, or excuse me, the Colorado Avalanche, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and that 16-17-1 is insane for just one game.
That's what I'm saying. So I think there's a lot of opportunity potentially there on the board. As then I look at the Oilers at 30-1, and I'm like, I can't get there.
Nope. No, I don't. No, it's okay. But Tampa Bay, they've got the experience, so that makes a lot of sense. Stormy Buonantony, make sure to check her out on VSiN on weekdays, 12 to 2 Eastern time. I know you're on Pacific, but I go by Eastern time. Anything else coming up for you?
You nailed it. That's awesome. I am jealous that you're going to the Knicks game tonight. But
no, I'm not going. I'm going to a bar.
I mean, equally.
They're in Detroit, so I'm gonna just go to.
Oh yeah.
See, it's a good opportunity to go to the bar to watch. When the Knicks are in New York, the bars aren't as fun because people are at the Garden. Because they're gonna be on the road, everyone's out and about. So that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay. No, I mean,
but I'm not gonna tell people where I'm going because they'll follow me, and I don't need that.
We don't need that at all. But I will say, regardless, you're gonna be much more fun than me. I am just gonna watch the draft on a couch and eat ice cream.
I'm gonna do that
some
tomorrow.
Chicken, like I have no life. Oh, but before I go, so where are we at right now on the Grizz OKC game? Is it still 9.5, or have we moved up on that? Because I was very curious your opinion on it before I go, because I bet OKC minus 9.5. I know I didn't get it was 8.5, and so I'm getting a bad number on it. But is this even a series at all? I don't.
If there's any game that's gonna be close, it's going to be tonight, because if OKC, there's a chance if OKC goes up in this series, 3-0, that maybe you get a sloppy OKC team to go. So maybe the next game, if they do blow them out this game, it would be the next game to take some points with Memphis. I think tonight's the night that they go hard, because obviously you want to go up 3-0. So that would be my take. And that's why Jessica Brand is one of our researchers over here, and she has said to me about SGA going over his points is something to look at tonight. Jessica said if OKC goes up 3-0, I do not agree. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what she agrees. I think Memphis would be a mess all over themselves, is what she said. Hey, I think OKC
in game 4. Got it.
Yeah, in game 4. I think OKC is going to dominate. Memphis is an absolute disaster off the court. I would not be taking points with this Grizzlies team. I've been against them ever since they got into a fight on the bench a month ago. So, absolute disaster. I don't blame you for laying the points with OKC. Check out Stormy Buonantony on Money Moves every weekday from 12 to 2 Eastern. Thank you so much, Stormy, for coming on and helping me with hockey.
Thanks, friend. You're amazing. No, and thank you for helping me with the NBA and Major League Baseball all the time. So we're in this together. Have a great day. Appreciate you.
You too. Let me make sure that I don't. Okay, Stormy's gone. I always have to make sure that I don't do this with the guests where I always bring someone. Anyway, no one cares about my production problems on StreamYard. Coming up next, we have got a great guest who I've actually been wanting to talk to for a long time, because I think it's been a really long time since I've spoken to him. Joe Osborne's joining the show from Covers, and we are going to talk NBA and Major League Baseball. What is going on? Nope, see, this is what I do. What is going on, Joe?
It's not easy to self-produce and host a show. I've done it before. It's not easy to do, so good on you for taking it on. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great, except for the fact I hate the NBA playoffs. I do not enjoy betting it from a prop perspective. Tricky. How have you done?
It's tricky. I like these nights in the NBA, on a Wednesday night, for example, and you have 10 games to choose from, and you can find a really good spot in the Wizards Jazz game, for example, right? It makes it easy from the handicapping. You only have 3 games to choose from. On that avalanche of games on a Wednesday night, it's going to take you forever to go through the entire board, but still, you're going to find those sweet spots. Right. So I don't know. Lines are probably sharper and all that type of stuff. So I do find it a lot trickier during the playoffs. Absolutely. Same thing as Major League Baseball.
How do you change your handicap of these NBA playoff games?
Well, a lot, you go into a lot of these games, like Giannis last night, for example. I think his point total was 31 and a half, 32 and a half. And he ended up going over that, right? Early on in the first round of these playoffs, I don't always find that these numbers account for a big minutes boost for a lot of these guys. Like a lot of guys will play in the low 30s, mid 30s. Then all of a sudden they're pushing 40 minutes. If it's a close game, sometimes over 40 minutes, like Brunson at home. I hit the over on both of those games. That number, he might not hit it tonight because he's a different player when he goes on the road.
Right.
But that's something you kind of have to factor in. But they make adjustments on those numbers pretty quick, don't they?
Yeah, every single time they do. See, I eliminated Joe. That was not my intention. Okay, Joe is back. You do have a play on that game with the Knicks and the Pistons. This is not going to bode well for the Knicks fans when I'm at the bar tonight. Why are you taking the points with the Pistons?
It has a lot to do with the Knicks' home offense or home away splits, I guess you could say, on the offensive side of the court. So offensive rating post All-Star break, they dropped all the way down to 23rd on the road. So they're a much better team at home. The Pistons are a better team at home too. They play much more disciplined basketball. The big knock on them on the first two games is that they turn the ball over a lot. They turn it over more than any other team in the playoffs here so far. Small sample size, but like I said, they play a lot more disciplined on their home court. I do think it's going to be a nice home court advantage for them here tonight too. This is the first home playoff game in Detroit in a very long time. So Detroit, pretty good fan base there, so I think they're going to be energized by that. And Knicks, like I said, not the same team on the road. So I'll take a shot on the Pistons as a short dog here at home.
I don't blame you, especially with the way Cat's been playing. The last game, what was it, the second half, he just didn't show up. Cat's numbers on the road a bit better since Brunson drops off. The Knicks need Brunson, though, and those splits are definitely drastic for the Knicks. I am worried about them. You know, the Knicks never make anything easy.
No, I liked the Knicks last year quite a bit. You know, they had that scrappy underdog feel about them. Oh, they should win this series, absolutely. But I think they get smoked whoever they play here. I guess they would line up against the Celtics here in the next round. So not the same team, pretty one-dimensional on offense. I think that it might be pretty easy to game plan for. But, yeah, I like the Pistons to I guess win if I'm going to take them plus
pretty
one, right?
Much. Yeah, pretty much. OKC first half, you're laying 4.5. Why only first half?
Well, I took them to cover the, what was it, minus 14.5 in game 2, and they did end up covering, but that was like, it wasn't in the clear until like the final minute of the game. So I do think that the Grizzlies might play with a little bit more pride. It is on their home court here, but I won't be surprised if OKC ends up covering the full game spread, but they've come out absolutely firing, absolutely blitzed the Grizzlies in the first two games of this series, up by 32 at half in game 1, up by just 18 at half in game 2. So they put them away early. This is not a team that plays with their food. This is not a team that plays down to the competition. I don't expect them to do that. And this is a pattern that's carried over from the regular season. They played them 4 times in the regular season. They had an average lead of 13.3 at halftime. OKC number 1 in first half net rating post All-Star. Memphis is just a team that absolutely reeks of a team that cannot wait for the season to be over. Maybe it is in front of their home fans. I can't see the fans being very. I think the fans consensus too, right? So yeah, I like OKC just to roll here. They got their foot on the gas. Everyone's healthy. I think they're going to smoke them, especially in the first half.
Yeah, I can see it. Listen, these large spreads are really tough when it comes to a full game, but at least getting a minus 4.5 in the first half seems less daunting. And you think Chet Holmgren's going to contribute to that. Why are you looking at his over 15.5 points when everyone's probably looking at SGA?
Well, that's what I was looking at first, right? And I talked about like the minutes increase that players typically get when we go into the playoffs. We have not seen that yet from Chet, but it could be coming. Like I said, it is the first road game of the playoffs for them. They were favored by 14.5, 15 in the first 2 games. They're favored by 9 in this one. So that indicates maybe we do get a tighter game potentially. He only averaged 12.4 second half minutes in the first 2 games because especially that first game was a massive blowout. Now, despite that, still filling it up here. Totals of 20 and 19 in the series so far. Shot attempts are on the high end. He had 14 in game 2, which is higher than the season average of 10.7. He had 11 in game 1. He only played 21 minutes in that game. So I talk about them having their foot on the gas. I don't think that they fully unleashed him. They certainly didn't play him into the ground during the regular season. It is the time to play these guys into the ground a little bit, though, because it is the playoffs. They like
Well,
his
and if you go up 3-0 and you could keep a short series, you hope that you're more rested than your opponent going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't mind his 3-pointers is at 1.5 too. I think -130 on the over. I don't mind that. He has 6 threes in the series so far.
For his perimeter defense stinks.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I like OKC. I like Chet. SGA could have. He hasn't had a big game yet. He hasn't had a breakout game. He hasn't needed to have one yet. So that could come too. But I think Chet will get his as well.
Nikola Jokic in the late game, 10 p.m. Eastern time. You've got Nuggets, Clippers. You're going Jokic over assists. Why?
Well, yeah, this one shouldn't take a whole lot of convincing. Any over for Jokic, I think, is pretty easy to convince people of. But I love this one. So totals of 10 and 12 in games 1 and 2. He averaged 10.2 in the regular season, and that was playing regular season minutes. Playoff minutes, he's crossed 40 in both games in this series so far. No reason to expect that not to continue. If you look at his game logs from the playoffs from the past couple of years, he's routinely in the high 30s and the 40s. And he leads all players, digging into analytics a bit here. He leads all players in the playoffs in potential assists, 20.5 per game. That's up from 16.5 in the regular season. So like Jokic should be dishing it out there, and hopefully the Nuggets can finish for him here tonight.
Where's your accent from?
My accent? Where do you think I'm from?
I'm bad at accents.
Where do you think I'm from?
Oh, I don't know. You're like north somewhere.
You've been following me on Twitter for a couple of
Like
years.
Canada?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was nervous. I didn't want to like offend you with some wrong answer.
No, I'm not offended. It's funny because I never hear that, but like when I travel down in the States, people are kind of.
You hear it. You hear
like
the
your
accent.
Yeah.
Where in Canada are you from?
I'm from St. John, New Brunswick. I live in Nova Scotia right now, so it's considered like the Maritimes.
One of my close friends lives there.
Oh,
We call him
Nova
Uncle
Scotia?
Benny.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, I grew up in St. John, New Brunswick. It's about an hour from the border in Maine. So growing up, I spent a lot of time in the New England area for like family vacations and stuff like that. And I stupidly chose not to hop on the bandwagon of any of the New England sports teams. A lot of the teams that I root for absolutely suck. I had the opportunity. I like the Dolphins in football. I could have hopped on like
why the Dolphins when you're from Canada?
I picked them.
You hope that you would live in a warm climate one day. Wishful thinking.
Usually when you're a little kid, you'll pick like whoever the regional team is. We don't really have regional teams here. Or whoever your dad likes. And my dad liked Buffalo for some reason. And just as a stupid reason, as a little kid, I picked the Miami Dolphins. I had like a Sports Illustrated for kids or something like that. Now I had an out. I think it was when I was going into high school or something like that. That's when the Patriots dynasty started. And I think that's probably the deadline where you can legitimately trade or change your favorite team. You can't do it as an adult. It's embarrassing as a grown man or a grown woman. And you have to feel it in your heart too. But I didn't like Tom Brady. So I need to go through that whole thing. And here we are.
Well, I apologize that that's your team. Do you have a hockey team then?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I can't complain about my hockey team. I like the Pittsburgh Penguins. And
You're confusing me.
They've given me 5 Stanley Cups. Well, it's so where I'm from. Yeah, it's when I was coming up.
You don't even root for a Canadian hockey team.
Or like a lot of little kids now, they're Golden State Warriors fans. And you would say, why are you a Golden State Warriors fan? It's because they hop on the bandwagon because they won a bunch of championships. When I was a really little kid, they won back-to-back Stanley Cups in 91 and 92, Mario Lemieux and Jaromir Jagr. So I hopped on the bandwagon. I had the starter jacket with the Penguins logo on the back and Sidney Crosby's from this region up here too. So I have that as well. So yeah, I'm a proud Penguins fan.
I'll give you the Sidney Crosby story.
I'm a Blue Jays fan. That makes sense. They're Canadian. And they went back to back when I was a little kid too. So
it makes sense because you're Canadian. So yes, you would root for the Blue Jays. They also stink. So I guess
that's fair.
I guess you're picking bad teams. At least you pick winners though when we gamble. And that's why we're going to go
that's all about.
Right. We just have to make money. That's it. So we'll continue on the MLB card. The Nationals, first 5 money line, I assume.
I did money line earlier today, but that's moved significantly. It's like minus 150. So let's go run line for the people. So the Nats need to be leading at the end of 5. It's minus 115. So it's a lefty versus lefty starting pitching matchup. Both the lefties, both offenses aren't good versus left-handed pitching, but not every left-handed pitcher is created equal, right? And I think we got a pretty big starting pitching matchup between Mackenzie Gore and is it Cade Povich or Povich? Povich, like Maury Povich, the TV show host, right? So massive gap between these guys, right? 3.41 ERA versus 6.83, a 2.20 FIP versus 5.21. And both team offenses aren't good versus left-handed pitching, but the Orioles are actually the worst in the league in regards to OPS, which is probably my favorite offensive stat to look at. Nats not good either. But if you look at their home splits offensively, they're 6th in OPS at home compared to 25th on the road. They're 3rd in Major League Baseball in runs scored in innings 1 through 5. So I'll take them to be leading at the end of 5. Mackenzie Gore may be a little bit of a breakout season for him.
I hope so. I actually covered Mackenzie Gore in high school when he was in North Carolina. So I've watched him for a long time. I get a little nervous with Gore. He kind of gives me Hunter Green vibes because he could strike out 10 and give up 10 runs all in the same 5 innings. But against this Orioles team, the Orioles strike out a lot against lefties. That's a strikeout prop I actually wrote about in the newsletter, which I felt was a little too high at 7.5. It wouldn't surprise me, though, if he did go over against the Orioles. Cade Povich on the road, a very different pitcher than at home. I trust him more when he's at Camden Yards. When Povich is on the road, absolutely zero issue with fading Cade Povich in that spot. Then you've got a big-name pitcher, Jacob deGrom, who's been pitching great, so why are you fading him tonight?
Well, this is also plus money. It's plus 132 odds on this one. And I'm not saying he's going to get lit up. I'm not saying he's necessarily going to have a bad game. I just don't expect him to go very deep into this game. So he's only 1-3 against this number so far this season. He's allowed 5 home runs. He's pitching in Sacramento, that player or hitter-friendly ballpark, as we all know. ERA is not bad, but if you look at his FIP, it's over 5. Still kind of working his way back. They're not going to pitch him into the ground. He's had under 90 pitches in 3 of those 4 starts so far this season. And this bet is also, a lot of people like, really, you want to back the Athletics against Jacob deGrom? Yes, I do. They're hitting very well right now on a nice stretch. They're 3rd in OPS versus righties over the last 2 weeks. Wind blowing out a little bit. Rangers only used 2 arms out of their bullpen yesterday, so should be nice and fresh for this one.
I like the play. deGrom has been pitching well, but there's absolutely zero reason to hurt him. Also, I'm pretty sure one of the last times that he faced the Athletics was when he ended up getting hurt and like missing the last couple of years. So maybe there's also some psychology behind this. Hey, deGrom, you feel good? Great. We're going to pull you so you don't have any PTSD. We don't need deGrom PTSD.
Yeah, I would never hope for a guy to get injured, but I wouldn't mind if that situation plays out and he leaves the game healthy, maybe sometime in the 5th inning.
Hey, it's like betting anything in the NFL. You have an under and you're like, oh, he left the game early with an injury. Oh, darn. What?
I know, right? Like, I hope it's not serious. I hope
it's not serious. Just don't come back in today.
Yeah, I mean, we've all been there, but yeah, never make any apologies for winning an under bet based on an injury, because how many over bets has everyone lost because of garbage time or an injury or something like that going on, right? So, or an ejection. That's the worst. You ever have an over bet and a guy gets ejected from the game? That's brutal.
Yeah, or I've had even worse in baseball season when I have a strikeout prop that loses because an umpire makes a call that is wrong. Yeah.
We need to go to robot umpires. What are we waiting for? They made like one of the best advancements in all of sports over the last couple of years has been the pitch clock, right? It makes the games much more it makes it much more watchable. If you're going out to a lot of games in person, especially on a weeknight when you got to work the next morning, you get home a lot earlier. So yeah, I guess they've been testing those or something. I haven't looked into it very much, but it's kind of weird with like umpires and referees in all these leagues. Like you see these guys just botch these calls and you're like, why is a 65-year-old man like behind the plate calling balls and strikes? Why don't you have a human being who's in their prime? Why don't you have like former athletes who are, in their physical and mental prime as referees, as
or
umpires,
someone that
right?
has
Don't you think that would
not with
make
an eye
sense?
problem or something?
Oh, and baseball's the worst for it, right? It's crazy.
Joe, where can everybody find you? What are you up to these days?
JTFOZ on Twitter and on Instagram. Daily picks on the Covers YouTube channel. Go on to YouTube and type in Covers Sports Betting. If you type in Covers, it will be musical covers. So Covers Sports Betting. And covering MLB, NBA, NFL, UFC, a little bit of everything. So check me out.
That's why we love having you on. You make us money in pretty much every sport. From Canada, Joe Osborne, thank you so much for coming on, and good luck tonight.
Awesome, Ariel. Thank you for having me on. Best of luck with your bets tonight.
Thank you. You too. See, this is what I do wrong. I bring the guest back on unexpectedly, and then I'm an a-hole for it. I need to fix that somehow. Anyway, yes, Lewis Creech. So funny story. Before I get into bets today about Mackenzie Gore. So in honor of Mackenzie Gore pitching tonight, Mackenzie Gore is from close to Wilmington, North Carolina. So my boss down in North Carolina, Brian North, WCTI News Channel 12, when I was a local sports anchor, he said there's this kid who's pitching in the high school baseball playoffs. You need to go. It was the second round of the playoffs. Said, I have to go 2 hours away. It's yeah, one of our teams, I think it was Riverside High School, was playing against Mackenzie Gore. It was a great opportunity to go to his high school and be able to get video of Mackenzie Gore pitching because he was playing one of our local teams. He said he's probably going to be in the majors one day. So you should definitely, all these big scouts are looking at him. You should definitely go. So there's me driving 2 hours on a Tuesday to watch some kid, Mackenzie Gore, pitch in the high school baseball playoffs. My boss was right. And I tell him every time, you were right. I got to watch 2 playoff games in the high school baseball playoffs in North Carolina with Mackenzie Gore pitching. I was standing right behind home plate shooting these games, and it was insane. He was awesome. I'm really glad for Mackenzie Gore being at the major league level. That said, let's look at some of these players in Major League Baseball that actually no one playing against Mackenzie Gore today is a good matchup, but we'll look at these overs in Major League Baseball for some hitters. So Lourdes Gurriel Jr. hitting 364 with a homer against Drew Rasmussen tonight. Corbin Carroll's been on absolute fire. You know the total base props? He's leading total bases. 70 this year, hitting 365 with 15 extra base hits, 8 home runs, 19 ribbies in his last 17 games. Corbin Carroll, a player to watch who's on a heater. Lawrence Butler, he's on a 2-game home run streak, looking for 3 in a row. He's hitting 316 with 3 home runs and 7 runs scored in his last 9 games. Short slate tonight. These are the 3 overs that are either on a hot streak or have good matchups. Unders. So Andrew McCutchen, crazy stats on Andrew McCutchen. I think I might have mentioned it yesterday in the fishy lines, but I will see if I could find it again today. I don't think it's in this one. There's a stat about Andrew McCutchen with the Pirates that in the games that he starts, the Pirates are winning majority of those games. And then when he doesn't start, the Pirates are losing majority of those games. Very interesting. He has a bad matchup tonight, though. Even though he does have a double, he's only 2 for 8 against Tyler Anderson with 4 Ks. Tommy Pham, 2 for 12 against Tyler Anderson. And Joey Bart, even though he has a home run, he is 2 for 10 against Tyler Anderson. So some of these players not great against Tyler Anderson tonight. Instead of going through every NBA game like I did last night for the most bet on props at BetMGM, I combined so in the NBA tonight, from each game, the most bet on prop. This is propaganda. Gets me every time. Propaganda. This is the most bet on prop in each NBA playoff game tonight. Karl Anthony Towns over 21.5 points. This does not surprise me at all because Jalen Brunson's home road splits are very different. He does not shoot the ball as well on the road. Karl Anthony Towns, on the other hand, he ends up stepping up in these spots. Doesn't surprise me that bettors are betting Cat tonight over points. He has basically been sleeping through the games at the Garden. That's kind of false, but for him, he should be playing better. Desmond Bane under 21.5 points. This one's interesting to me because I know people are going to go John Morant at home. So naturally, they're fading Desmond Bane. Okay. Kawhi Leonard over 3.5 assists, the most bet on prop in this Nuggets and Clippers game. It's very juiced, though. So that kind of makes sense. These are the most bet on props today in Major League Baseball. Garrett Crochet already pitched. I thought he had 6 last time that I checked. And of course, I'm here just doing the show like la-di-da and totally forgot to double check because I did write in the Prop Queen newsletter this morning. He was like a Mackenzie Gore to me. Someone I thought the number was just too high, but he went over it. So congratulations to the public. You hit the over 7.5 Ks. He had 9 on the day. I just get nervous with afternoon baseball. I mentioned it. I said the over 7.5 is what makes sense with the numbers. He's spot on against high K rate teams. Crochet's averaging 7.9. It was just too close of a call on a high number in a day game. I stayed away. Congrats, though, if you hit, because the Seattle Mariners, their lefty-righty splits, very drastic. Against righties this year, the Mariners are striking out like 4 times a game against those starters. Against lefties, the Mariners striking out just over 6 times a game against lefty starters. That's where you make your money. If you're a premium subscriber to the PropQueen.com newsletter, you'll see on the strikeout prop spreadsheet, there are some teams that have drastic lefty-righty splits. The books tend to like the chat distracts me sometimes. The books tend to take the overall average of strikeouts against starters. They don't look at lefty-righty splits as much. That's where the strikeout prop spreadsheet gets you some advantages. Like this game. The Mariners, they don't strike out much against lefties. So Crochet goes over. These are all home run props. And if you know me, you know that I do not like betting home run props. But these are the most bet on home run props today in Major League Baseball. Soderstrom's been like leading baseball in home runs this year. He is, the most is, he has 9. He's tied in the National League for the most. And then Andrew Vaughn, let's see if we have any stats on Andrew Vaughn. He is, lower batting average. Yeah, no, I don't know why everyone's on Andrew Vaughn. That's a little weird. Bobby Witt already played today. And then James Wood is this game against the Orioles. So he's off to a great start this year. We actually interviewed him on Off Base on MLB Network last year. He's awesome. So here's what we've got on James Wood. 116 mile per hour home run tied Bryce Harper for the hardest hit homer by a national in the StatCast era. It's crazy. He has 8 home runs this season. Wood tied for second most in the National League, trailing only Corbin Carroll. Wood slugging .702 with 10 extra base hits, 7 home runs, 15 ribbies, and 14 runs scored in his last 15 games. A home run on Thursday would make Wood just the 3rd national since the club moved to D.C. to homer 9 times in the team's first 25 games. Ryan Zimmerman and Bryce Harper were the other 2. So James Wood today, to hit a home run, is at 4-1. Is that everything I had to get to today? I think so. Okay. You know what time it is. It's time for the best bets of the day. Royal Lux. I've only got one. Corbin Burnes under 5.5 Ks. I love this today. So Corbin Burnes is getting a great matchup against a low K rate team in the Tampa Bay Rays. You want to talk about a team that from last year to this year has changed a lot? That's the Rays. So this season, Burnes has faced 2 low K rate teams, the Nats and the Cubs. He had 3 strikeouts in both those games. Overall, Burnes has a career worst 18.5% strikeout rate this season. Going back to last year, he averaged just under 5 strikeouts a game against low K rate teams. 11 of the 16 righties to face the Rays have gone under this number and under their prop, averaging just over 3 strikeouts a start. So go with the under 5.5 Ks for Corbin Burnes tonight. That's it for me, guys. I've got to get out to the Knicks Pistons game at a bar here in the city. It's going to be a blast. I hope you guys all have a very profitable day today. Be back tomorrow, 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern time, right here, wherever you're watching on Twitch, YouTube, X, Instagram. Am I leaving any out? I think that's it. Tune into all the Prop Queen Sports platforms. Until then, good luck with your bets tonight.